But hopefully y'all will come on. Y'all will come on to this one. Let me know if you are on this one. I'm gonna just let y'all know I'm over here. All right. So hopefully y'all hop on there. I don't know why that happens. I don't know if the phone gets overheated or something. So uh, anyway, hopefully people are looking at the comments in that. I think my phone can only handle about 15 minutes of, about an hour. It can only seems like it can only handle like an hour stream, and then it just cuts me. It just totally goes dark. So I don't know. Anyway, let me know in the chat who's here, who came back after we just got so rudely disconnected. Jan is here. Hi, Jan. I'm sorry about that. I don't know, it just literally cut off. But we were talking about maquis powder and sea moss powder and the power of testing what your body wants. Everybody's body wants something different. And even if you want the same supplement or the same food, it's probably for a different reason, because our bodies are all different. We all have different toxins, positive. Hey, Coco, honey, glad you made it back on. Welcome back. But we all have different things, different genetic things. That's another thing. One of the first things that he had to fix within me for my gut was something in my colon that was a genetic, something passed down genetically from on my father's side genetically. So it was something with my colon that wasn't methylation, which means the harmony was low. Methylation harmony is your body working together, is that area of the body, that part of my colon wasn't working together the right way in order to do what it's supposed to do. And that was just something genetically that was passed down. But y'all, it was so easy to fix. I needed one supplement to fix that. The thing that he used to fix that for me, and obviously for somebody else, it might have been something else different to fix the same issue, but it was called PCS dogwood. That was the herb that I needed for that. And so those are the different types of things that can happen with our gut. It can be all kinds of things: genetics, toxins, parasites, bacteria, fungus, all kinds. It's not one thing. It's not just, oh, I have constipation, and it's like, now you understand what I was saying on the other stream before we got cut off. Well, I was saying it's not just like, oh, this one thing that worked for me will work for you. Same thing with the question about water fasting. That might work for somebody else and not work for the other person, like how it was actually harmful for me, for my system, based on all that I was dealing with. But for a whole nother person who did exactly the same thing I did, it could have boosted their health and brought them to a whole new level of health. So that's why you want to really be in tune to your body, listen to your body. Superfoods that are a superfood for one person might actually not be healthy for you at this time if your body can't process that food. So like I talked about Dr. Sebi's list, quinoa is on the list. It's a grain that's really high in protein. There was a time period where I could eat quinoa. I loved it. It worked well with my body. And then all of a sudden, that quinoa became like an allergen for me, and I could no longer eat it. So you have to really pay attention to, and I had to listen to my body and know that even though that was a healthy food, quinoa was a healthy food and it's a superfood that's on Dr. Sebi's list, all of a sudden I was allergic to it and it was no longer a superfood for me. It wasn't healthy for me, because anything that you're eating that's causing inflammation isn't healthy for you, even if it's the healthiest, most nutrient dense food in the world. If it causes same, like basically being allergic, almonds, or we talked about pistachios earlier, or something on Dr. Sebi's list, Brazil nuts. That might be really great for one person, but cause somebody else to go into anaphylactic shock because they're truly deathly allergic to nuts. And so a lot of times allergies and things like that are all caused from some toxin or imbalance or something in the system. And when you start to remove those things, allergies go away. So my daughter had been allergic to avocados since she started eating food. And then all of a sudden when we took her to him and he fixed her gut using this muscle response testing and figuring out what was going on with her, just after that one day, as soon as she got on the herbs and supplements that he found that were right for her, she could eat avocados that same day. Oh, cocoa honey. Yes, I'm highly allergic to Brazil nuts. Yeah. So isn't that interesting? And so I'd be very curious if certain things were healed in your body, certain toxins removed, and certain, if say there's overgrowth of fungus or bacteria, or excuse me, or even if there's a parasite or something, I wonder if certain layer, once you got to the final layer, would you no longer be allergic to Brazil nuts? You know, so that's the type of thing where if you were to work with a functional doctor, like the doctor I work with, and if you're interested in and connecting with that doctor. He does virtual visits. You can email me and I can send information to whoever emails me. Um, he's reversed, like there's testimonials in his office of like children that were literally deathly allergic to, for one child, I think it was almonds. He was deathly allergic to almonds. And it's like they worked with him and they have in the little testimonial that they worked with him. I don't know how long it took. I think it was probably about 6 months of removing certain layers. And then they came to a point where they were able to talk, do the testing, and the testing showed, put the energy of almond up to the boy. Is there still allergy here? Oh, great. Amar said he emailed me. Thank you. Great. So he put the energy of that almond up to the boy to see, is there still an allergy in your body to this energy of almond? And it was like, no. So the parents are like, should we do it? Because they had so many horrific experiences leading up to them going to the doctor because of this almond allergy, where basically he had ingested it and had reactions and stuff. So what they did in their testimonial, it says they literally drove in front of the emergency room to the emergency room, sat outside, and gave the little boy almonds, just in case. That's what they did. And he could eat them and he was fine. They sat there for a while and he was fine. And so now he no longer has that allergy. But it took a while it wasn't as quick as like with my daughter and her issue with avocado. It wasn't like that. Hers was like literally instantaneous. As soon as she was on the herbs, her body could handle it. But with him, it took a while. And then after that, he was no longer allergic. So there's hope for these allergies and things if you do things the right way. And that's the one thing I would say that I really want people to get. Please do not do what I did. It's been probably 5 years ago now when I started my healing journey, detox journey. I was just throwing everything. I was doing everything. I was super, super like disciplined, focused, and just detox, really digging deep, throwing everything up there on every single herb. And it was too much for my body. So you really want to gently transition. And so, how could I not mention this? I just released a new ebook that has recipes and also a transition guide into plant-based eating and a meal plan guide, 28 days. So recipes, meal plan, fitness, all that stuff released on Derek Products website. So it'll be in the description box. It was in the description box of the other live that's there, but I don't have it in this one because I didn't have time to upload it. But the link to that will be in this on the replay. And then also if you go to like the last live in that description box, it's in there as well. But that book, it's called High Vibes. So it's basically just about higher vibrational living, dealing with the energy and electricity in your body. Like what can you do to add energy to your body? And I talk about all this in the book. I share like my healing, my crisis that happened, my crash, talk about the difference between water fasting, fruit fasting, and I feel like fruit fasting is a little safer just because it digs, but it doesn't dig as deep. But this is, again, listen to your body. How does your body respond? And sometimes the type of fruit that you fast with will be different. Do you have a raw food ebook? Oh, no, it's not all raw. There's a lot of raw recipes in there, but there's a lot of cooked recipes as well. It's just plant-based. It's not all raw. I was all raw back when my crash happened. For a while, I was doing all raw. And then when the crash happened, I felt like in order to heal from the healing crisis crash I had, I needed to be all raw. But it's like I wasn't getting better being all raw. And then come to find out, that ended up being too much for my gut at that time. My body needed some cooked foods in order to, because when you cook it, it does get rid of some of the nutrients, but it also kind of helps to break the food down a little bit. And if your gut is really out of balance, all raw can be kind of hard on a person's gut if it's really, really out of balance. But for some people, it might work. So so to answer your question, no, I don't have an all raw. Yeah, he says makes sense. Yeah. So I don't have an all raw cookbook, but I do have lots of like smoothie recipes in there and different stuff in there that is raw. I also have one with like a coconut yogurt parfait in there that uses like different fruit and then coconut yogurt, and you could put anything on top of it, any type of, usually parfaits have granola. This parfait, I'm using different nuts, but I know a lot of you on here are just saying you have nut allergies, so that's where you just kind of, you tweak it around what your body wants. Because healing isn't one size fits all. Healing the gut definitely isn't one size fits all. So let me make sure I didn't have any other questions in here, and I'll just do, let me see, live chat. Does perfume and topical affect you? Oh, yes, now that I'm so much more clean, when I smell a toxic, like a perfume that's synthetic, I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to be around that. And I actually am very sensitive now to certain fragrances, like not even fragrances, are different things you inhale that you don't even realize you're inhaling when you go in the grocery store and stuff. I started realizing I'd go in Whole Foods by my house and my nose would start running. Well, come to find out, when I went to the doctor, I had them test me with the different vials to see am I inhaling something? What's going on? When I go to Whole Foods, what I was inhaling there was acetone, and the acetone you can't smell it necessarily, but it's from what they're spraying to clean. It's in the cleaning agents that they're trying to keep stuff clean. So what he did is gave me a prophylactic. Basically, it's kind of like it's a natural tincture that's like infused with the energy to kind of help your body deal with the toxins in the world out there. So that also helped with fragrances as well, because I went to some other places and inhaling fragrances, I started to get real sensitive to those. And so that when I started to take that tincture, which was about the size of, do I have a tincture up here? Let me see. I'd say the tincture was like this size. So I would do maybe like 3 squirts a day, 3 squirts twice a day of a special, what's that brand that does it? I think it's Energetics that has all those, because it's homeopathic. So I did that in order to counteract my sensitivity now that onset of sensitivity to fragrances. And then for topicals, definitely, it's like I can put stuff on and not necessarily break out, but now my body tells me right away, that's toxic. Like maybe something will happen where my bowels will change, or I'll start to feel brain foggy or something like that. And if I go to the doctor, or this is the type of thing you could even test at home if you know how to do the muscle testing. And that's some of the things that I'll share like in the masterclass. But it's like, what's causing that issue? Is it, did I inhale something? Did I, those types of things. Or did I put something on my skin? So you can also test your lotion, your shampoo, your laundry detergent was an issue for us. Even though we had a natural laundry detergent, it had some type of fragrance in it. And it was really affecting my daughter. It was waking her up at night. After a while, after it got built up enough, that was what the doctor was able to find. That was that fragrance or whatever toxin was in that laundry detergent was causing an issue. So long answer to a shorter question. Yes, I do have sensitivity to that, but using those prophylactics has helped my body build up some tolerance on how to deal with it. Because ultimately what you want is to have a body that is energized and vital enough, has enough vitality in order to encounter toxins and know what to do with it. So it's like, oop, got hit with acetone at Whole Foods from the cleaning agent. Okay, this is what we need to do. It knows how to process it and get it all the way out. Because if you weren't on my other live where I got kicked off, I talked about how my microbiome got crashed years ago when I was, like in my early 20s. It got crashed because of a pesticide that I ate, and that pesticide didn't get fully out of my body. It kind of lingered in my gut, and it crashed my microbiome. So, so you want to train your body, and that's where you can use like that brand Energetics and stuff like that, the different prophylactics, in order to train your body to deal with fragrances that aren't clean fragrances. Like I love essential oil fragrance if they're truly pure essential oils, things like that. But you want to train your body to be able to deal with the toxins that it encounters. So chemicals that you might get on your hands, detergents that aren't right. I was pushing a cart at Costco, and I, started to not feel well later that day. Got tested, realized, oh, you absorbed through your hand some cleaning agent, that it was like a detergent cleaning agent that they had put on that, to clean it off. So it's like I had to take some stuff to help build my body up so that it could handle that, because you're going to encounter this stuff. You can't just stay in your house all day and never go out. So you have to be able to build these things up. And one thing is, if your gut is in the highest optimal working order, which mine has not been, because like I said, if you missed it earlier, I had over 5 different species of parasites that I know of, working on the last, part 4 and 5 right now. But if you have all these parasites, fungus, bacteria, food poisoning that's kind of left over in there, your immune system isn't going to be as optimal as it should be. So once you start to get those things out, that's when your immune system can get stronger and stronger, because I believe they say 80% of the immune system, it's either 75 or like 80% of your immune system is literally all in your gut. So it's like, how well is your gut functioning really determines how well you deal with fragrances, how well you deal with encountering different viruses, bacteria out there, which we're getting hit with every time we set foot outside our house, or even in your house sometimes. So those are the things to think of, is just how to build your body. Obviously, the foods we eat can help build your body, but then also getting rid of toxins that are inhibiting tissue, gland, and organ function in your body. You've got to get rid of those toxins. You've got to get rid of those. Before I read this next question, just want to remind you all to like this new chat, or this new video, since it got kicked off the other one, just so that it'll notify people, so that that we're on live. When you like it, it lets the algorithm lets people know about the video. So please do like the video. Let me see. Have you ever experienced, hold on. Okay. Have you ever experienced throwing up after drinking iron-rich tea for several days? Oh, no, I haven't. That's medic face. No, I haven't. But that might mean that generally, if you're throwing up after eating something or drinking something, you could be at your peak, or you're, basically satiated, enough iron, don't need any more. Or it could just be you could have some other reaction, some kind of allergic reaction to something else in the tea. But with iron, it could just be that you just have enough, or your body's not processing it correctly, something like that. But I haven't had that issue. But generally, that if your body is reacting forcefully enough to the point of throwing something up, that means something in there you either have enough of, too much of, I should say, or something's not meshing right with your system, so you shouldn't drink that. But yeah, that's interesting. I've never had that issue. Thank you for those of you who did like the video when I mentioned that. Do you have any idea about acid reflux and healing the gut from that? Yes. So I used to actually suffer from acid reflux a while ago, like years ago. Then I started taking like some natural chewable chalky type thing, and that really did kind of help, but it wasn't getting to the root. So now I know what the root was. It's all these other things. But one thing I will say is really good for acid reflux, just to deal with, because to get to the bottom layer, it's going to take some time. But if you want relief starting out, one thing that can really help with acid reflux or GERD is ginger. So you could do raw ginger root tea. I have a recipe on this channel, and I'm going to be sharing a new video soon about ginger. But then also, Derek Product has a ginger capsule that I actually brought in. I brought it in to the doctor to be tested, and it was like a therapeutic value of 10 out of 10. And the one thing that he found would work, what it helps with in the body, was GERD and acid reflux. So it helps with stomach vitality. So that might be something to check out, is either make your own ginger root tea, just get organic ginger root, chop it up, boil it for about a half hour, you know, clean it. You don't have to peel it, just chop it into like 1/2-inch little slices, put it in like distilled water, and then just let it boil and let that infuse into the water. Or something else you could do in addition to that, or instead of that, is to do the ginger capsules. Like I said, I can vouch for Dairy Products ginger root capsules because I have had them tested and know that they're really good and a therapeutic value and clean and stuff like that. Where do they, is it Costa Rica, the farm that they get that from? I believe they get it from Costa Rica. It's an organic farm in Costa Rica. Really good stuff. So that's where their powder is made from. So I have a link to Dairy Products where I get the sea moss and everything. I have an affiliate link in the description box, and all their supplements are there. They have like over 60 something products. I didn't even realize that. And now my book is on there. I'm so excited about that. So get my ebook that partnered with Dairy Product to create that ebook. And it's called High Vibes, and it has 28-day guide to higher vibrational living and eating, recipes, meal plans, all of that. And then also just stuff about fasting, all those types of things. You're welcome, Purple Frilly. Says thank you so much. So I'll take a few more questions. I want to share a few more foods because I didn't get into one of the main foods I want to share. And then after that, I'm going to jump off. I'll check these out. Yeah, definitely check it out. The link's in the description box. So I was talking about foods before I got cut off, and superfoods and things like that I eat. And so I want to share with you something that has been so beneficial. Before I found the doctor I'm talking about, I was able to realize that my main issue was my gut. So I did realize that thanks to just God, like my mom saying like, you never used to be bloated. And I'm like, yeah, I never used to be bloated. Because before I just thought it was like, oh, my adrenal gland is shot or something like that. But she's the one. And then also actually one of you watching a video of mine where I was talking about allergies and stuff said, oh, maybe you want to look into parasites. And that's what those two things, my mom and then a viewer who reached out to me via email talking about maybe look into parasites, is what made me start to focus on my gut. And when I started to focus on my gut, then I started to look for doctors that work on the gut naturally. And that's how I found the doctor that I've been talking about. So anyway, I want to share with you this food that I was using before I met that doctor that really started to help me when I started using this food. I felt so much better. And it is kefir water. And I have some tutorials on this channel how to make it. Can you see that down there at the bottom? Y'all see that kind of cloudy? That is the good bacteria. So kefir, I believe kefir has like over 50 strains of different types of bacteria in it. So what you do to make this, I'm gonna talk about it, but you watch the video too, that'll help. So you see that there? So when this is made out of coconut water, you could get a young coconut, crack it open, use the water inside that coconut. And I've done that in the past, and that tastes so good when you use that coconut, or you can use coconut water, organic, that's already made, because sometimes that can get expensive getting those other coconuts where you have to crack it open, and it's more time consuming as well. But so this kefir water is the coconut kefir water. You can do it with just regular water, but I like to use coconut kefir water. What you do, they have kefir water grains, or I did that at first. And oh, I didn't bring it up here, but I'll show you the, oh yes, no, I didn't. So this is the brand. It's online. I need to link to this. The brand is Cultured Food Lives, Cutting Edge Cultures. That's the brand. But they have, that's where I got my original kefir grains, but they also have like starters that are in powder form. And I'm gonna talk about this starter. This is a different starter. But the kefir water starter was in a pack like this. And there's a few different packs. All you do is so easy. All you do is take you some coconut water. You can make, like I said, you can crack you open a coconut. I have a whole video on there on the coconut opener. I like to use all that. So you can do that. You can, be super like DIY, do your own coconut water, which I do sometimes. But when I don't have time for all that, I just get this organic coconut water. All that's in here is coconut water. That's the only ingredient. I don't know if you can see that. It's coconut water. That's the only ingredient. So I just get this because it doesn't have any citric acid or nothing. It's just coconut water. And then you pour it into, this is 32 ounce mason jar. You pour the water into this, and then you make sure that the coconut water is just room temperature, not cold. And then you pour one of the packs of the starters, if you go to the website, the website I think is culturedfoodlife.com, and look for Easy Kefir. That's the name of the starter, Easy Kefir. And you just pour one of those packs in there, cover it, and then you don't want it to be in the sunlight because sunlight is antimicrobial. So if you ever come down with a cold or something, get in the sun because it kills bacteria. But you don't want it to kill this bacteria, so you would cover it. And then these, basically what happens is the bacteria eats the sugar in the coconut water and it helps them to proliferate and grow and grow. So by the time you open it up the next day, so it needs to just 24 hours of fermentation. So I usually would do this like when I need to make a new batch, I start at night, maybe I make it at 7 at night, and then the next night, because we tested and found that my body likes to drink this 4 ounces only before bed. So then the next day at like 7 or whatever, I'll check it and see, and it'll usually be fizzy. So it turns into like a fizzy drink, and a lot of the sugar is out. So it's more tart and fizzy because the bacteria ate the sugar. And so when you drink this type of a live probiotic drink, this kefir water, like I said, it has over 50 strains of good bacteria to feed your gut. When you drink that, you're populating your gut with all kinds of good bacteria. That helped me significantly. When like I told you, when I had my initial, did I say this? When I had my initial crash, I had anxiety onset, which I had never had. I had like mild depression. I wouldn't say it was major clinical, but it was like mild depression, just kind of feeling low, or feelings of despair throughout the day. I had poor sleep, all these different things. When I started drinking this kefir water, I felt so much better. It really started to help, and I could tell it was doing something powerful. But it wasn't enough, because when I went into the doctor, it was enough to help me feel some relief, but it wouldn't. I had to get the toxins out that caused the crash of my gut in the first place. And so once I had addressed that toxin, that first toxin, which we found was that pesticide that I ate on some food back 22 years ago or so, or whatever that was, that is what caused the crash of my gut. And then once that crashed, my gut wasn't working right, and when your gut's not working right, it allows parasites to be able to stay and proliferate there. When you have a lot of different toxins and metals, parasites just can have a field day, because what those metals can sometimes do, as I mentioned earlier, is act as a shield for the parasites. So for example, I found that I had, what is the name of that parasite that I'm fighting right now? Let me look it up. So I'm fighting 2 parasites right now. One of them is Babesia, and the other one is, and let me see, what is this one? It is, Entamoeba. So it's an amoeba. So it's a type of an amoeba parasite that's in my descending colon. I have 33 of them. This is how detailed this testing can be. And I got it, oh man, that's my earliest parasite. I got that food poisoning at 11 years old. That parasite's been in there since I was 11 years old. That's crazy. And so the thing is with parasites, the reason why they can be in there that long is if they find a little nook and they find something to hide behind, which for me, they were hiding behind copper. And this is copper that I got in utero when I was a baby, a fetus in my mother's womb. When she was pregnant with me, she had the copper, passed it to me. I got the copper. I was pregnant with my daughter. My daughter just had to detox the same copper last month. And then, when the doctor was trying to figure out when did you get the copper, it was like, was it injected into you? No. My body using muscle response testing. Injection? No. Inhaled? No. Absorbed? No. Ingested? No. How did you get it? Did you get this in utero? Yes. Strong arm is the nervous system communicating to the muscle saying yes. So I got that copper in utero from my mom, passed it to my daughter, and finally, praise God, she won't pass it to her child because it's gone from her now. But that copper was what was holding in this amoeba, this entamoeba parasite that's in my descending colon. That copper was acting as a shield. So I say all this to say, you can take parasite herbs, you can take skullcap, and you can take wormwood and black walnut hulls, and you might be able to kill some of the parasites, but you're not necessarily going to get all of them if there's a shield around them. Because I think I saw someone mentioning earlier that the parasites lay eggs and certain herbs are good for killing the eggs, but it's like if there's certain parasites hiding behind in one place, all they need to do is they're smart, figure out how to get around it. And when that assault of the herb stops, they're like, okay, cool, we got this. We figured out how to get around that herb. And we still got this, for me, it's copper. For you, it might be mercury. For somebody else, it might be lead. We still got this barrier, this heavy metal to hide behind. We're good. Go ahead, give me some herbs. I don't care. That's what they're in there saying. We got we partying, we eating what you eating right now. So that's what was happening with me with the parasites until I got out the different layers. For me right now, it's copper. The other layer of, for some other parasites I had hookworms that we got rid of. I had threadworms that we got rid of. I can't remember, I have to look up what the other worms was, but what some of those were hiding behind was a type of a metal I had never heard of called germanium. What's germanium? That was one of the things I had gotten when I had a vaccine at different times, the schedule of vaccines for children. I got all of them as a child. So anyway, some of the toxins that were in the residual of those different vaccines were like germanium and arsenic and lead and all these different things that I'm now getting rid of, but that were holding in, parasites and fungus and bacteria, food poisoning, things like that in my gut. So these are all the things that we need to think about, and don't make the mistake I made, which was start digging, just digging, throwing everything up against the wall, doing water fast, doing fruit fast, doing all these things, and just digging continuously without like a system or some guidance, or just transitioning slowly and then taking a little break, listening to your body, because I was just going so hard and I just completely crashed my adrenal gland by digging too deep, too hard, too fast, too many herbs for too long. So it was like a 2-year period, 2.5 years of just detoxing, water fast, fruit fast, mono fruit fast, all these different things, every single herb. And then not knowing that it was too much, because your body has different time periods that it's able, certain things have to move in order to get to the next layer. And your body only has energy to do so much. So for example, right now I'm detoxing 2 parasites, like I mentioned, an amoeba, and then also babesia, which is a blood-sucking parasite that I got from a tick. And come to find out, right now in my system, I have some bacterial food poisoning called Shigella that I got when I was 4 years old. But my body basically was saying, we can't fight that plus 2 parasites. So what the doctor did is gave me an essential oil. I believe it's called Palmarosa, P-A-L-M-A-R-O-S-A, Palmarosa. I put that on my lower back, and that suppresses that part of the immune system. That energy of that oil stops my body from fighting the bacteria that is kind of the next thing that I'll be ready to fight probably next month. But my body was trying to do everything, and I was just like, ooh. And so the doctor was able to find that and say, okay, that's too much. Calm that down with this oil, and then we can focus on these parasites. So that's the thing to know. You might have a parasite, but the question is your body ready to fight that parasite and get rid of it all? Because sometimes trying to do these certain assaults on certain things your body's not ready for can actually cause adrenal fatigue, which is what it did for me. My right adrenal gland crashed because I was just going after everything and my body wasn't ready. So I feel like the one thing you can do safely on your own is transition if you're on a diet that you know isn't right. If you know you want to eating basically the standard American diet, which you know is going to cause some issues, you can transition slowly into a healthier diet by eliminating foods that aren't good for you. And that's what I talk about in my book that's available on Derek Products, or the book that I collaborated with Derek Product to create. It's available exclusively on their website. It's called High Vibes. That book is like a 28-day transitional guide into healthier eating, plant-based eating, and healthy living. So it's a transition. It talks, and you build up to in that book, we're building up to a fruit fast, but we don't just jump into a fruit fast. It's not like, oh, welcome to High Vibes, let's do a fruit fast. It's like, no, it's like a slow 28-day transition so that it culminates in a fruit fast. Jumping right into that from you just had Popeyes the day before and then do a fruit fast the next day, like, oh, I'm about to feast right now and then tomorrow I'm getting right. Do that and you're gonna feel horrible. You're gonna feel horrible. Ooh. So when you do it slowly, then your body, it can really kind of adjust, slowly get out toxins and stuff. You'll probably start to notice yourself urinating more, things like that. And sometimes when you start to switch into healthier eating, it still might, depending on how toxic you've been eating, it might pull a lot of toxins. Sometimes constipation might result from transitioning to healthier eating. So that's where you want to have things to kind of combat that. Things like maybe ginger tea. Another thing to look into if you are experiencing constipation, possibly your body's detoxing. Remember I talked earlier about detoxing these metals, detoxing these toxins can really cause a lot of mineral depletion in your body. It takes a lot of work. So you may need to replenish some minerals. So if you are experiencing constipation or bowel changes, possibly look into supplementing your B6. Vitamin B6, look into maybe supplementing that. Make sure that you are supplementing with like a B12. And another thing that you can do is find a functional doctor who can test and see, using muscle response testing, do you need this supplement right now? Do you, instead of just like, oh, I should take, Timotha said, take B6. I'm going to take B6. Maybe you don't need B6, but that's the power of muscle response testing. You can kind of know that these symptoms point to possibly this deficiency. Let me test and see, do I need that? And so you could either go to the store, hold a B6, different types of different B6s in your hand. And if I'm working on a course to teach how, like muscle response testing, how to do it, where you could do different tests to figure out, do I need this or do I not? And then to get a full schedule and plan of how to detox and get these leads and all the metals and toxins and food poisoning out of your system, that's when you need a functional doctor who is highly skilled in herbs. You can start detoxing, but to really get deep to all the layers, like in a systematic way, I would say find a good functional doctor. And if anybody wants to work with the doctor I'm working with, he does do virtual visits, but you can email me and I'll send you his information. But I highly recommend doing it slow and steady wins the race. It's not a 7-day plan that's gonna get it all out. Even the 28-day plan that I mentioned that's in my book is just a way to start you into healthy eating. And we do talk about superfoods, and we talk about some of the superfoods that I talked about earlier, like maki and camu camu. They're all available on Dairy Products website, along with my book, High Vibes, is available there as well, my cookbook and transition guide into detox and plant-based eating. But those things alone aren't necessarily gonna fully detox all the lead that you may have in your body or all the mercury that might be in your body. We don't know what's going on in your body. You might have parasites, you might have bacteria. So that's where doing things like, it's morphogenic field testing, nutrition response testing, but my favorite is morphogenic field testing because it kind of blends nutrition response with also finding toxins and stuff. Nutrition response testing is more kind of finding what should you be eating, like that type of thing. And then it also can figure out which organs are weak and stuff like that, if thyroid's weak, adrenal. But with the morphogenic field testing, it's just so deep because it's really getting into, at a cellular level, what is assaulting the cells. Oh, it's lead, or oh, it's germanium, this heavy metal that I hadn't heard of. Maybe you all had heard of it. Or it's copper, toxic copper, because there's good copper and bad copper. And it depends on, if it's the toxic copper, which is what I have, toxic copper in my system right now, that's shielding the parasites that I'm fighting right now. So these are the things to keep in mind. Let me know if you have any questions, and if this is making sense in the chat, you can just give me a thumbs up or any questions you might have. And don't forget to like if you are on the chat. It helps to send the video out to to the people on YouTube so people know to watch the video. So let me jump into a couple more of these superfoods. The one food that I wanted to share that I am going to be doing a tutorial video on very soon is, have you heard of this? Let me know in the live chat. L-reuteri, or reuteri, I don't know if it's reuteri or reuteri, but L-reuteri yogurt. And I learned about it from this doctor. Have you ever heard of that book, Wheat Belly? I don't know if you heard of the book Wheat Belly from back in the day, but this same doctor, Dr. William Davis, wrote this book, Super Gut, that just came out last year. At the end of 2022, he wrote Wheat Belly. And what he found is that, because with Wheat Belly, he's saying wheat causes a lot of issues in people's system. I'll link to this also in the description box on the replay, so you can get the book. But he was saying, okay, so people would stop, and even him, he stopped wheat and he had a lot of healing, but he wasn't fully getting all the way there. And so what he found was, it was gut issues. It was gut issues. Okay. Thank you, Purple. All right. Yeah, Purple Frilly. I love that name. But he found it was gut issues causing the problem. For him, he needed to repopulate his gut with this type of bacteria called L-reuteri. I'll just hold it up to you. Let me see. Does it say it on here? Okay. Can you all see that there? Right there. It says L-reuteri. So that's what the strain of bacteria is L-reuteri, and in most like civilized, westernized countries, L-reuteri is no longer in the gut. It's a bacteria that's no longer in the gut. So he talks all about that and how to make this special yogurt that has, I'm talking about culturing your own foods. So I'm going to make that yogurt using this starter, and I'll be doing a tutorial on my channel on how to make that yogurt. So that yogurt, repopulating that, I brought this starter into my doctor, used muscle response testing to see, will this be therapeutic for me? For me, this was a therapeutic value of 10 out of 10 if I culture that and turn that into a yogurt. But then for my husband, he tested it, he didn't need it. So it's just like some certain things everybody doesn't need. And then like for my parents, it was therapeutic, but only like 8 out of 10, which is still really good. So everybody needs something different. But that L-reuteri yogurt, and Purple Freely says yes, that L-reuteri yogurt, I'm so excited to make it, y'all. And I'm going to do the tutorial on how to make it. And then I'm going to do update videos on what changes I notice in my system while eating it. And so hopefully y'all make it too, and we can just chat about it, and I have a Facebook group so we can chat in there and stuff like that. But I have heard, and a lot of the benefits have to do with improved sleep, improved just love emotion. It helps you produce more oxytocin. So just feeling more empathy and more love and just happy and feeling good. Muscle, it's supposed to help really with like building muscle and keeping muscle. So as you age, you're keeping that muscle on your body so that your skeletal system can still stay strong, because the muscles help support the skeletal system. It's also supposed to be really good for skin, so helping your skin to glow and stay youthful and young. And then just really good for just overall, Danielle says, Danielle Harding, good evening to everyone in the chat. Hello. And so it's just good overall for just health, and of course, immune boosting, things like that. So I can't wait to try that and see how my body and my gut responds to that, because like I said, using that muscle response testing with this L-reuteri yogurt, this is just the starter. So this is the bacteria in here that I need to pour into the yogurt, let it culture for 36 hours in a yogurt maker. I went and bought my yogurt maker that they recommended. Oh, thank you, Danielle says, Timotha, good to see you back on live again. It feels good to be back on live. Y'all know why I'm back on live? Because I feel better. I have more energy because I'm getting rid of all the parasites. Because there was a time period where I just kind of stopped doing live and was just uploading videos, because that was right after my crash, right after the crash happened, after that water fasting and just digging too deep, 2 water fasts back to back. That was a no-go for me. What I was talking about this earlier, doing those water fasts back to back unearthed a lot of parasites and a lot of toxins that my body just was like, oh, where do we begin? It was just trying to fight everything, and my adrenal gland just crashed. And so, just caused a major autoimmune response in my body. And so that's why I talk about in my new book, High Vibes, available on Derek Product's website. It's a collaborative book with Derek Product that they invited me to work on a book for them. They know I'm really into health. They know I'm always talking about them on my channel. So it's like, would you be interested in working on like a health book, a detox transition book, a meal plan book, recipe book, because that's what a lot of their customers ask. And so that's what we collaborated, worked for the past like 6 months on this book, and it just came out this past Friday. So definitely please do support and pick it up on Derek Product's website. I'm so excited that that's finally out. But with that transition guide, it's just, that is like a stepping stone into healing. But how you eat is a stepping stone. But it's not necessarily how you eat will not get you all the way there. We got to get the toxins out. And you got to repopulate your gut. You got to get your gut microbiome, your gut flora, the good bacteria versus the bad bacteria in balance. If there's toxins in your gut that crashed your gut flora, you need to get those out. And so this Super Gut book, like I said, I'll link it. It's not linked yet. The Derek Product website is linked there, so you can go there and get the book, and I'll also put a specific link to the book as well when we get off this live. But the Super Gut book isn't there yet, so I'll put that there. But definitely get my book, High Vibes. And then this Embroidery yogurt, I'll find the link to that, or the starter, I'll find the link to that and put it there. Plus, stay tuned for the video. I'm literally going to be making this yogurt this week and filming a video and then putting that video up soon to help heal the gut. So you can make a coconut yogurt using this embroidery, or you can make just like, if you aren't plant-based and you do dairy, you could do a dairy yogurt making that. So there's lots of different ways that you can use it. The most important thing is the bacteria, repopulating your gut with the bacteria that's in this starter. And so if you're just jumping on, I showed, this is one of the things that I make every single day. I don't make it every day. It lasts about 4 days because I drink 4 ounces every night. But if you see in there that cloudy stuff that I'm stirring up, it's kind of on the bottom there and then there, that is good bacteria. This is kefir water, coconut kefir water. And I used an easy kefir starter to make that coconut kefir water. So let me know in the chat if you have any questions. Again, feel free to do a super chat to push your question to the top, and it also supports the channel. Let me see. Everyone just saying, hey. Good. Oh, I tried Dr. Sebi alkaline diet, but some foods on the list made it worse, like spelt. Do you have any ideas for acid? Hold on, I just missed it. I'm glad I went back to look at this. Have you ever, okay. Do you have any idea about acid reflux and healing the gut from that? Yep, we talked about that. I tried Dr. Sebi alkaline diet, but some of the foods on the list made it worse, like spelt. So yeah, so that's what I was talking about earlier, a really good point. The spelt, or like for me, some of the food on the list, as I had that crash, I started to react to like some of the foods on the list. For me, it was quinoa and avocado that are on the list. I could no longer do that. So spelt for you became is an issue. And so generally, once you start to heal the gut, because now I can have quinoa, now I can have avocado. Once I got my gut back straight, now my gut's not fully healed. It's a process. Like I said, I'm killing 2 colonies of bacteria, of parasites right now, but I'm so much better, y'all. I like feel like myself, where I didn't for a long time. But yeah, generally then you can start to eat the foods that were an issue for you once you start to heal your gut. Even when you're just 20% of the way, sometimes even less than 20%, sometimes you'll start to be able to eat certain things you couldn't handle before. So just don't lose hope, keep pushing, and really start focusing on the gut. And I would say the first thing you can start to do is introduce probiotic foods like kefir water, which is so easy. And I have kefir water video. I'm gonna do a new one because the other one that I have for kefir water, it's I'll link to the site, the packets on cocoa honey. It's on, well, I'll tell you now, and I'll also link it for the replay. It's called culturedfoodlife.com. So cultured with ED, so CULTURED, foodlife.com. And so they have easy kefir is what what I get. And if you want to get L-reuteri, the L-reuteri starter, and then you also need to get the prebiotic. This is called Prebio Plus. So prebiotic powder or foods feed bacteria. So to make the L-reuteri yogurt, I believe just the first time you have to feed it with the prebiotic. So those are the things. If you go on there, there's a whole blog talking about it, so you can check that out. But let me make sure I answered this question. I'm gonna jump off. What side is do I cleanse first? So this is Tihani, I think it's Tihani Lowry. Am I saying that right, Tihani? But so do I cleanse first? So Tihani, I recommend going on Dairy Products website and getting the new book that we just released there. It's called High Vibes, because it talks about transitioning and into a detox and a cleanse. So I don't know if you mean, do you cleanse first? Maybe I should ask you to elaborate a little bit. Cleanse first before which thing? I guess that's what I'll ask first what do you mean cleanse first? Because what I was saying is that you want to make sure that you transition slowly into a detox. So to answer your question outright, I would say, no, you don't just cleanse first. If it is, I'm going from eating a standard American diet and then I'm going to jump into a water fast, which is what some people do. They'll literally go from standard American diet into a 20-day water fast or something like that. That I do not recommend at all. I don't recommend water fasts. I don't. I feel like you can get the same benefits from fruit fasting. If you are going to water fast, I say you work with a specialist and do like something like nutrition response testing. You're welcome, Coco, to find out, does your body, or muscle response testing to find out, does your body even want a water fast? Because what I found is I found out the hard way, my body didn't want a water fast, and I'm still trying to recover from that. So, but for cleansing, transition slowly, start eating cleaner, eliminating bad foods, adding in good foods and superfoods, listening to your body, food journaling. In that book, High Vibes, there's a food journal that has, that basically just has the different, because I have a video on this channel that talks about how to properly keep a food journal. It's not just write down the food you ate, but you need to also be keeping track of how is it making you feel. So this food journal in the book, High Vibes on Dairy Product, has the different, like, oh, I feel, like, how are you feeling after you eat? And then also it has prompts for all these things. How are your bowels? How is your sleeping? All these things you need to look at, because what you're eating or what supplements you're taking, those types of things really do inform or have an effect on how you sleep, how you eat, or how you feel, how your bowels move, your mood. Do you start to feel irritable after eating? All these things could be indications that your body doesn't like what you're eating, even though it's a superfood, like which was mentioned in the comments earlier, that spelt is on Dr. Sebi's list, but her body didn't like that. So it's like sometimes your body may not want a superfood or a good overall healthy food because of whatever you're dealing with in your gut. So to answer the question, do you do a cleanse first? You transition into and then get to the more intensive cleanses. So make sure to stay tuned, because like I said, I got into most of these probiotic foods and sharing a lot of those. I talked about some of the herbs that I'm using to cleanse the parasites, but there's so much more that I'm going to get into about just healthy recipes, talking about alkaline eating and things like that, because this was a big part of my journey. I have lots of videos on the channel about that, but I'm also going to be getting into how to make these different foods to help heal the gut. Stuff like this L-reuteri yogurt, sharing my journey with that, how to make this kefir you're welcome, Tiani, with how to make the kefir water with the easy kefir starter, as opposed to the recipe that's already on my channel, which I recommend checking out. But that recipe is with the kefir grains. So that recipe is a little more kind of intense. But this one is so easy. It's like anybody can do it. Like literally my 5-year-old daughter could probably do this because it's so easy. It's literally just get you some coconut water that's organic and don't have no any type of preservative in it. So this is just pure, just organic coconut water is the only ingredient. Take one of the packets, pour it into the coconut water in a 32-ounce mason jar. Let it sit on the counter for about 24 hours. Cover it from the sunlight so the sunlight doesn't kill the bacteria, because sunlight is antimicrobial, so it will kill bacteria. So cover it and then let it sit. And then when you're done, when you open it up, it'll be fizzy, like kind of like pop, and it won't be as sweet because the bacteria will have eaten the sweetness in that. And that bacteria that's in there will feed your gut. So check out the channel. The other thing I was going to mention that I'm super excited about now is Dairy Product. They have this alkaline green powder. So I'm going to start using this. I hadn't been using this, but I'm going to start using this alkaline green powder. It's organic and it tested really well. So I'm going to start using this as well sometime, probably every other day. The one thing I'm realizing is you don't have to be on certain things every single day all the time. So I'm just going to kind of listen to my body. Like I mentioned earlier, if you weren't here, this morning when I woke up, because I'm detoxing, I felt kind of like, ooh, little like low energy in the brain. And then I took this purple sea moss powder from Dairy Product, and I took this Maquis, and Maquis, Dairy Product has Maquis. This is an old one because I ran out of my Dairy Product Maquis, and I had that one there. So I took Maquis teaspoon, and I took the purple sea moss powder a teaspoon, and immediately the brain kind of heaviness and tiredness just went away. So I just feel there was some type of minerals or something in there that my body really, really needed. So let me know in the comments below or also in the chat if there's certain topics you'd like to see me go live about and dig deeper in next week and the weeks to follow, because my plan is to come and go live as often as I can on Sundays. So I'd love to do that because it just helps me keep in touch with you all, see where y'all are at, and so I can provide value for you as you are on your healing and health journey. So let me know, like I said, in the comments. You can let me know in the chat right now if there's any specific videos you'd like to see me do, just maybe even just videos throughout the week or videos on live chat, or not on live chat, but on live stream in the weeks to come. Stay tuned. I have a video coming out this week, possibly even tomorrow, about what to do if you are with someone when they have a stroke. Because I was with my mom, she had a stroke, and now with all that's going on, like the medical event that happened with Jamie Foxx, which they speculate is a stroke, I just was like, oh man, I gotta share this, because I was with my mom when she had a stroke, and I did 2 different things that immediately arrested the stroke. So if you'd like to learn more about that, make sure to stay tuned for that video coming up sometime this week, hopefully tomorrow or Tuesday. And then also I have a video already on my channel, if you search my channel, where I'm interviewing my mom like the day after the stroke happened and sharing what I did in order to help stop that stroke. And she has no symptoms. You never would have known that she had a stroke. So definitely, oh, thank you, Danielle Harding says, healing to your mother. Yeah, well, praise God, she's doing great. I mean, she had a stroke that was 3 years ago. So praise God, she's doing good because of the 2 different things that I did that were natural things before we called 911. And I was doing these things for her. And when when the ambulance came, they didn't know who was sick, because we were all sitting there and looked normal, because she basically just snapped out of the stroke because of these things that I did. So make sure to check out that video. Even the interview that I did with my mom the day after, because she was like, we got to share this with people. We have to share this, because she just was like, so thankful that it was able to be stopped. So you can watch that video. It's part 1 and 2 where I'm interviewing her and she shares her side of things about that. And then also I'm going to be putting out a really short, succinct video to share with people what you can do if you're with someone and they start showing signs of a stroke. So for my mom, her mouth started drooping and she stopped talking and just started leaning out of her chair. For other people, it could be other things. But just with what's been going on, if it is a stroke that Jamie Foxx had, I know Sinbad had a stroke a couple years ago, and it's just, I know there's a lot of people that are dealing with that. And so if you're with that person, there's things you can do. So watch that video with me interviewing my mom, and stay tuned for the video coming up this week where I'm going to be sharing those tips again in this video. So I just hope that this has been helpful for you all. Let me know, like I said, in the comments, or you can message me and just let me know if there's any videos that you'd really like to see me do in the future, or live stream about in the future, topics and things like that. And make sure to go out and get my book, High Vibes, the book that I collaborated with Dairy Product. It's available exclusively on their website, and it's a 28-day guide with recipes, how to transition into detox. It has fruit fast guide, meal plan guides, all of that. So definitely check that out. Like I said, on Derek Products website, the link is in the description box. I'll also put it in the pinned comment after this video goes on replay. But thanks so much for tuning in and sharing your Sunday with me. Take care. God bless. I'm Timotha Lanae, and I'll see you in the next video. You're welcome, Jan.